The style of 33 is full-bodied, a fruit-forward character with a depth of flavor coming from black, dark fruit characters, a little bit of earthiness, and if there's a little coffee tone or a little bit of caramel or butterscotch hint that comes in there from the oak barrel, that's great. Hi everybody, this is Marnelle coming to you from the clubhouse. I am so excited. I haven't been this excited in quite some time. Honestly, I haven't been this excited since my dad's passing about one of our products, Barrel 33. Barrel 33 has a story, an amazing story, I think. The Bible says honor your mother and father, and since my dad's passing, I've lots of times feel in the middle of mourning his loss, and am I doing what's right to honor Daddy? And I've questioned that, and really whenever this new release started kind of stirring, I thought, yes, we are, because the story about Barrel 33, all the memories of the details of that story just started kind of coming up, and the thought of what Barrel 33 means to me. And I wanted to share that with you guys today. I want to share how Barrel 33 represents an amazing father, and how Barrel 33 is actually the birthplace of us finding our identity as a wine style and what our house style, so to speak, is. So Barrel 33, these are all the Barrel 33s in existence. So started out with 2005 Barrel 33. So there's a different bottle sitting here. It's an empty bottle. It's also 2005 vintage. And let me tell this story. So we started the winery in 2000. 2000 was our first vintage. 1999, we planted the vineyard. So this is the origin story. My dad was growing grapes in California. He was growing grapes in Washington State. And a good friend of his, Tom Walliser, was another apple grower and grape grower in Washington. And my dad discovered a winery up in Washington. And it's called Leonetti Cellars. And had the right connections. And Leonetti Cellars is one of the first wineries in Walla Walla, Washington. Okay. Started in 1977 by the Figgins family. Chris Figgins is now the winemaker there, and he and his sister Amy run the winery now. But my dad discovered this winery and fell in love with it, was able to get on the list, and there's always a wine that kind of guides you. When you're in the industry, people say, well, what's that one wine? What's the wine that kind of drove you? And our family loved this, and there was kind of a ritual behind Leonetti Cellars, and that is that, well, we live in Texas, and this is a winery, of course, in Washington State. We would get these wines shipped to us, and the very first shipment of Leonetti came in, and all of us, our family, kind of stood around, and as we're opening this box, we're looking at the packaging of the Leonetti box, and we're looking at how it came to us. And when you're in the industry, you study other products, right? You really pay attention to how they do this, how they do that, where did they get this printed. So we're doing this with excitement. Now, I'll say this is probably one of the original, if not the original, Washington State cult winery, which makes it feel even more special, right? That we're getting this wine. So we open it. My dad pulls up, and this is one of the first bottles he pulls out the wine. We crack a bottle open, and he's sitting there, y'all, looking at this wine, and it's inky, gorgeous black wine, and he's swirling, and he's looking at it. And I can feel a new emotion arising within myself. Now, I'm young, and I felt this emotion. I felt the green monster start to take over, right? Because he's looking at something that, in my mind, we couldn't produce. In my mind, I don't know how we're ever going to get that inky black color in our fruit. And he swirls it, he smells it, looks at it, and he goes, I wish we can make wine like this. Really? I remember thinking, I don't know that we can make wine like this. So I pulled the whole It's okay. Green Monster took all of the joy out of enjoying that fantastic, delicious, well-grown, well put together bottle of wine. I think that my dad noticed that, and this is where the good parenting comes into play. He noticed that. He noticed that he challenged me. He noticed that I got a little emotional about, wow, this is so good. How can we ever make it this good, right? Time goes on. Time passes. Probably 6 months. But it was known that we have something to live up to. We have something to improve from, right? Keepersol, those of you that are Keepersol fans know that we run our company debt-free. And when you run a company debt-free without heaps and heaps of cash from somewhere else, you actually use other people's trash as your treasure. And it just is. So we would bring in barrels from other wineries. And I had barrels from Franciscan, and I had barrels from Washington. I had barrels from Lecole in Washington State. So we had connections where we would get some used barrels. And this one particular Franciscan barrel, I was topping our Merlot, 2005 Merlot to be exact. I can tell you, I was listening to Hotel California on this little yellow radio, and I'm just topping away. It's kind of a lonely job, and I kid around with Alex now, our winemaker, going, I had like a bucket and a pitcher, and he's got this fancy tube and this little gun, and he goes through. So here I am topping every barrel off, and I open barrel 33, and I'm not paying attention. And the aromatics of raspberries and coffee hit me. Enough to stop me in my tracks. So I put down all my topping tools, and I go to the lab, and I get a thief, and I pull a sample of this barrel 33, put it in a glass, and I am wowed. I cannot figure out, why is barrel 34 different and barrel 32 different? What's going on with this barrel of wine? The difference was that it was the only Franciscan in the line. It was how the oak integrated with that wine. Man, it hung on the color, and the tannins were fantastic. I then had the little devil and the little angel pop up. The devil says, why don't you go down to the cellar and get a bottle of Leonetti? And the angel's like, you better not do it. And I'm sitting there thinking, So I call my dad. I said, Dad, where are you? He said he's working at the shop. He drove a Chevy Avalanche at the time. So he was at the shop, and I thought, well, he's going to be there a while. I went down to the house. I got this bottle of Leonetti Cabernet. We'd already drank the Merlot. All that was left was a Cabernet. And I opened it. Opened it in the lab, and I poured myself a little taste. And there was that Leonetti ink, that gorgeous wine, and I swirl it, just leaves the glass with this purple hue. And I take a sniff, and I sniff barrel 33, and I think, we're in the ballpark. It may not be the same, but we're in the game, and I'm excited, exhilarated. So I call my dad again. I say, are you at the shop? He says, yes. I said, I've got a couple of samples of wine I want you to try. So after smelling these, and I'm excited. So now I'm fueled by this excitement, and I go and I see him, and I've got 2 Erlenmeyers, and I've got 2 glasses. So the Chevy Avalanche had like these little cup holders in it. And frankly, we did a lot of tastings on the back of the Avalanche. So he lowers the tailgate. I set the 2 glasses, and he says, now, Marnelle, tell me what is what? What am I tasting? And I go, just tell me which wine you like better. I'm working on a blend. Wink, wink. Now the emotion that arises is pure, sheer panic. So I've got the glasses there, and I think, oh my gosh, what if he doesn't like it? How am I going to recork the Leonetti? How am I going to get a foil back on and get it back in that cellar without him knowing that I opened his Leonetti? He's got the 2 glasses, doesn't have a clue, swirls it, sniffs it. He's tasting. I remember my heart was just pounding, going, please, God, let him like ours. Please, God, let him like ours. He tastes one. The Leonetti was on the left. The Keepersol was on the right. He tastes the Kiepersal and he pushes the Leonetti back and he says, this one's a little bit more bitter. I prefer this one. I said, really, Daddy? He said, really? He goes, what am I tasting? I said, that's Leonetti. That's our Barrel 33 2005 Merlot. And he goes, my Leonetti? That's my Leonetti from the cellar? And I said, yep. He goes, you opened my Leonetti? I said, yep. And he paused and he looked at me. He goes, I got my wish. Goosebumps. That's why, so at first it was Texas Merlot. Today we call it Barrel 33 Texas Wish. What a cool dad, huh? Leonetti Cellars played a huge role in being the inspiration and the motivation and the drive and a beacon. And I'm actually was just on the phone with Amy Figgins and telling her the story. And it's a pretty cool story that one winery or one particular wine can be such a beacon to another winery halfway across the U.S. So that's the story of how Barrel 33 came to be. Now, this was that barrel, 2005 Merlot. We didn't even have a barcode. The back of the bottle read this: the spirit of this engaging wine comes from the old world style of winemaking and creativity of Kiepersal Estates. This vintage was bottled exclusively for Pierre de Vet as a gift for you to please your senses and cheer your spirits. So we didn't even sell this. We got the cola, the label, we bottled it, and it was one barrel, and he gave every single bottle away. And then people were like, because there wasn't another barrel like it. That was it. So started out super special. Well, the next year we said, let's seek that style. Let's find that wine. There is not a blend consistency. Barrel 33 is, I don't even care to tell the blend because it's going for one thing and one thing only, one very specific style. And it's the style that this barrel set. And what it is we want to have as much flavor extraction as we can possibly get. So we've got 16 varieties, 63 acres, and every single variety, when we're harvesting, when we're tasting as we harvest, it answers one question only. Will it go into Barrel 33? Nope, that's going to be Sangio, that's going to be Cab, that's going to be Merlot, whatever it's going to be. But it passes through the filter of, does this have what it takes to become Barrel 33? So here's the style. The style of 33 is full-bodied, meaning you want as much flavor and weight on that wine on your palate as possible. We want it to have a fruit-forward character with a depth of flavor coming from black, dark fruit characters, a little bit of earthiness, and if there's a little coffee tone or a little bit of caramel or butterscotch hint that comes in there from the oak barrel, that's great. And then we want this wine to have the silky tannins. And when someone says, well, what is a silky tannin? How does that silky tannin show up? Well, the way it does, where you feel the astringency between your teeth and your lips, you feel that. But whenever you swallow that wine, you're not getting hit with bitterness. And that was the goal, to have a wine that shows up, that's velvety and silky and has the body, has the flavor, but no bitterness, no bite, just that long, lengthy, smooth, soft tannin. So 2005, we did the Merlot. And then in 2007, check out, this is kind of the odd bottle out. We fancied up the bottle a little bit, but our label machine didn't like this bottle. So we went back to the standard claret shape for the bottle. In 2008, we did some in the back when we just had the KE. The label kind of changed a little bit. You can kind of see a little tweaking in it, but all the vintages of Barrel 33. And the way this works is if we've got 33 out in the market, that vintage, we will skip a vintage. The 2013 has lasted quite a bit, and we love growing with this wine and drinking this wine as it ages in the bottle. And 2017, we finally, that vintage, finally got to produce a barrel 33, and it's finished, and Alex works so hard on producing this. The beauty of his winemaking, what he brings to the table, is communicating to him what the style is, and it clicks, and he's able to do the blending. So it's a stylistic blend. That's the difference between a varietal blend and a stylistic blend. So we're shooting for that particular style, and he just hit the nail on the head. 13 was the last vintage that my dad was involved with. My dad, Michael McClendon, and myself did this blending together. I know it was super special to Michael as well. We're at its end. The new one is here, and I cannot wait for you guys to try it. I'm going to open it up so we can check out the color of this wine and just see how it shows up. I open a bottle like a winemaker. I am matching the barrel 33 today. Did you guys notice? I wore my red scarf just for the occasion. So we're gonna pop this open, and I will be sending a bottle of this to Amy and Chris Figgins so you guys can try it. Now remember, every time you open a bottle of Keepersall wine, there's a little saying on the cork, and I cannot open one without reading. This is number 19, for all time is what it says. We're gonna pour just a little beautiful taste of Texas sunshine. The color is phenomenal. The aromatics are there. Mike's on the other side of the camera. Can you smell it from there, Mike? To Daddy and his palate. Dad loved soft, delicate wines on the palate, but wanted that full flavor. And we've achieved that with this. So to Daddy, I love you in heaven. To the Figgins family, thanks for being inspiration and putting out gorgeous wines year in, year out. And if you guys are interested and cannot get, I suggest going on the Leonetti website and checking out their website and signing up for their list. But Brookshire's Actually Fresh has the Figgins line. So it's a beautiful white label with a big purple fig on it. So that's at Fresh. You guys can find that there. And you can come to the winery and try the new Barrel 33. Cheers. Love you all.